Hi everyone, it's me Krista. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, welcome for the very first time to my little art corner here on YouTube. Today we're going to be playing around with the markers that came in the Paletteful Packs box for April 2021. I'm also going to be pulling in quite a bit of other supplies. Let's get on into it. I do want to point out at the beginning that I did not use the angle brush that came in this month's box. I decided that I wanted to just use the markers like markers, use that gel pen, and pull in a bunch of other markers to try to make the closest to a finished piece that I can. I did a very loose sketch using a pencil, and then I start going in with the lighter red of these Stabilo markers. And then I layer some of the dark green and dark teal, and also a little bit of navy blue over the red that we have set down already. To me, these markers work best as liners, which is why we're doing this sort of veiny head slash face that we have going on. I'm also intentionally trying not to blend out the markers because they do not want to play that game very well. I've noticed that attempting to blend them together, that it tends to eat through the paper really quickly. At this point in the drawing, I have used the black Copic marker in order to get some of the darker bits, specifically in the eye area, and then I'm pulling in the gold gel pen. I first was just going to make it a pupil that glows, but then I decided to add some little veins there and have little bits of gold going throughout the entire head just to tie everything together a little bit more. I also really just love using gold and metallic stuff in drawings and paintings, so that made me happy inside. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not using the brush that came in this month's box. A big part of the reason for that is that they wanted you to mix it in with the markers and use it like watercolor, and this is a bristboard paper that came in this box, and I don't believe that it could really hold up to that, especially with any sort of layering. It would have been better to use a watercolor paper if you're trying to do that. At this point, I have already also pulled in a light blue, which is almost a sky blue, in order to help create a little bit more differentiation with color. I am layering the markers on top of each other, but I am making no real attempts to blend, and I'm also making sure I do it when the marker that is underneath is completely dry. Basically, this entire drawing is just a bunch of lines that go in different directions that are layered on top and underneath each other. I did stream most of the process of this over on Twitch. If you want to see something like this slowed down, you want to ask some questions, or you just want to come hang out, please make sure that you go follow on that channel there. I'll be leaving a link in the description box down below for you. At this point, I also start pulling in a couple other smaller liners. I end up pulling in a couple of black gel pens, a black liner, and then some red liners as well at this point. I pull in a lot of other stuff in order to make a full project out of this. I will leave a list of all the items that I use in the description box down below in case you're curious. I do decide that all of the lines that I already have going on need to be outlined in black to help differentiate which ones overlap each other. This both adds contrast and more depth to the drawing. About 3 hours were spent getting the base layers down, and I believe about another 3 hours were spent doing all of the lining on top of everything. It's pretty tedious, but I think that it helps it out at the very end. Friendly reminder, if you get any kind of hand pain like I do, if you're doing something like this, you want to make sure you take a lot of breaks, you stretch out your hand, or you wear a compression glove. I can't find my compression glove. I bought a new one, and my cat stole it already. Need to buy some more. Throughout the drawing, in different parts, I will switch the orientation of it. This helps me line more steadily, and it also helps me keep a better posture while working. For the background, I am going to leave it plain white. I want it to contrast with all of the line work we have going on. I don't want the background to compete with it. I want to make sure that all of that work we have put into it stays visible. To add more shading to some of the thicker lines, I am using hatching with the black marker and then some of the other darker colored markers. This helps add dimension to it. I did notice when I was doing the lining, it's a Prismacolor liner that I have at a pretty small size, that the tip of it did shift quite a bit. It would move, so I would get a little upset because the line would end up being not exactly where I wanted it because the nib just kept kind of twisting around. I must not have been as gentle on the marker as I thought I was being. If you tend to rest your hand while you're drawing by laying it directly on a surface to help steady your lines, you might want to use a piece of paper between yourself and the project or pull in a piece of glassine. This is just so that you don't accidentally smudge all that hard work you did already with your hand. Completely forgot to mention this earlier, but obviously I pulled in a white gel pen because I always pull in a white gel pen. I used it in certain areas to help pull back out highlights. I specifically used some dotting and hatching techniques in order to do so. As I said earlier, a very large part of this project is me outlining everything I already have going on with black. Obviously, I'm still working on doing that right here. A challenging part of doing a drawing like this is having so many different lines going on and keeping track of them, and also varying the line weight enough to where you can still differentiate the outline of the shape of a head being there. It's super easy to get lost in all the lines and not look at the full picture. I had less lines going off of the parts where you see the facial features branching out because I wanted to make sure that part was still pretty clear. Later, I reinforce the main outlines and thicken up the lines using the chisel tip of the Copic marker, and I just go very slowly while doing it. It's a lot easier to get nice, steady, solid lines if you do it slowly. Considering that I wasn't looking forward to using the Stabilo markers at all, I'm actually really happy with how the project turned out. I'm glad that I gave myself the freedom in order to pull in a bunch of other stuff so I could make something that I am personally happy with and proud of. Also, it was just a lot of fun to do a spooky drawing again. After finishing all the black outlines, I pull in a couple of different liners that are much smaller than the markers we already have pulled in a few different colors. Specifically a red, a teal, and a burgundy color. I use these to create very small lines branching off of the other ones. I do not pull them into every part of the drawing because I wanted to allow certain parts of the drawing to have a little bit of room to breathe. At this point, I'm just adding in those few last lines and details that I want to have going on here. With that, this drawing and therefore this video are pretty much done. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, feelings, concerns, or you want to talk about any of the art supplies that came in this month's Paletteful Packs box, please let me know all about that in that comment section down below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please feel free to subscribe. I do a bunch of different art unboxings on this channel, and obviously we do some drawings and paintings. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day or night to listen to me ramble. I greatly appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you guys soon, and you will definitely be hearing from me soon. Bye, everybody!